avocado?
I make really good avocado toast.
What all you put on yours?
You want to give recipes to the world? Yeah. I'll tell you. I'll text it to you.
I want to ask you a question.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're talking to you guys about Mieka and Dominique. Listen, the key question we're asking here is how is it that Mieka's got to a point where she's even thinking about considering having a child? Why is that her mindset has completely shifted from where she was originally? And I think the reality of the situation is, when we talk about these situations, sometimes people have gone through certain events and certain circumstances in their life that makes it very difficult to want to envisage themselves in a particular position once more again. I call this the association effect, right? You associate an event with particularly painful experiences, which is technically what trauma is, right? So I think in this instance with Mieka considering, not saying she's actually going to do it, but she's opening up to the idea of this, it's because there is something else that has been presented to her. Something else has given her a new sense of light and understanding of what it actually is. So what is that? Well, I want to say that I think in this particular instance, that is somebody, quote unquote, I'm being a bit more shallow because we don't have the fullness of seeing Domonique in a particular fullness as of yet, but somebody who's a bit more emotionally present, that seems stable emotionally, that seems to have his priorities in order and wants to take care of somebody. This seems to be why there may be more conversations around this, and the necessity of I'm not going to have kids may change. Of course, financial stability is always an important thing as well to discuss when you're talking about this kind of stuff. So we're going to talk for the next few minutes about what an emotionally present man will do to a lady and how it actually affects women in, the dating phase, because I think Mieka is a great example of that we didn't know the fullness of the story as to why she didn't want to have kids anymore. I guess she was living her life, and the age between the two of them also is quite large as well. So that plays a part in it. But there may be something deeper behind it as well. So we're going to break it all the way down. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button. If you haven't joined us already, listen, join the membership teams, £1, $1. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well.
Black book. You know what time it is. 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 Time it is.
Yes, we're talking to you guys about Ready to Love, and we're breaking it down a little bit more deeper. A deeper look into Mieka and considering having a child with Dominique. Let's watch a little bit more of the clip and the conversation between the two.
So yeah, how you feel about it being the ladies' lounge and one of the guys are gonna go home?
I don't feel like there are a lot of dudes like me. I'm a gentleman that have a little bit of a street side to me. I'm also cultured, so like I'm happy for the ladies.
Now, of course, what Mieka lets us know from the very beginning is she wasn't actually really feeling Dominique like that, actually. In fact, physically, she thought it was a little bit short, and wasn't necessarily her particular type of guy. But as time has gone on and how she spent more time with him, she's realized, okay, this is actually a decent type of guy. I mean, this guy has maybe some great qualities, great values, and I can see maybe more from him that I never necessarily saw physically first time of seeing him. But we saw how she reacted to his physique in terms of being quite muscly and quite thick. She was pause on that, but she was very interested at that point in time, right? So clearly the physique is something that got her, but maybe necessarily the stature wasn't necessarily up to her standard. But she was willing to have a conversation because, again, maybe physically how he looked, it was appeasing to the eye. But going past that point, because it has to be more than just looks that's going to make somebody open up a perspective of having some kind of trauma or pain in a particular area where they don't want to have kids anymore and they're willing to potentially consider it. What's going to happen here is something that I believe that the emotionally present or at least emotionally stable man who's willing to treat you correctly will end up opening up in you. She said something so powerful. She said, he has a way of opening her up. And what that means is he has safety in the way that he behaves, safety in the way he moves, safety in the way he talks, and he promotes safety. Therefore, she feels safe enough to open herself up, much like a flower that's ready to bloom and a flower that opens itself up to share. She's ready to open up in that space because she feels comfortable, and this is now a trusting and safe place. Never underestimate the power of safety that someone can promote and bring to the table, especially a man, because it changes dynamics, because oftentimes women encounter spaces that they're not safe in emotionally, but are willing to risk it because maybe financially or physically the person looks their type, and so they're willing to forego the emotional aspect for a time and for a season. So Mieka is in a position now where she is associating, let's say, not great feelings for having children per se, in regards to the fact that maybe some trauma there potentially in terms of what experiences she had in the past. And then she's going to link that now to the fact that when it comes to brother Domonique, what is he sharing and how is he sharing it, and in what particular way is he sharing that particular style? And so that stability and peace can bring a mindset to a place where you feel so comfortable that you're now beginning to override the past experiences of pain, strife, harm, hurt, and the fear of being in hurt again begins to evaporate, because there is no fear in perfect love. And so when love has been promoted correctly, people's fears begin to diminish. People's fears begin to evaporate and go away. Now, of course, that's not every single situation, because people need to learn how to grow. And sometimes perfect love can make people feel like they're actually on edge. But eventually it catches up with you, because it's patience and it's endurance and it's a willingness to overlook certain things about you, means that now you're going to excel. Now now that person's going to move forward in that love. Now, what's really powerful is that something she mentioned. She said, you know, he was short and but she was willing to overlook it. When women begin to overlook, they're already starting to consider you. Right? Because at first she's like, no, that's not my type, that's not my thing. And now she's willing to overlook it. Why? Because something has changed. Right? The safety that he brings is making her see things differently, to the point where she's considering an alternative future. If you've been in a place of if you've been in a place where it's been dangerous, where your safety has been compromised, and you find somewhere where you can rest and truly rest and find a sense of peace, you want to hold on to that. And his confidence is also something that's inspiring. And so what can happen is that thought process of I won't do this again suddenly becomes, how do I do this again? Now, I'm not saying she's all the way there, because of course they're not there yet, but she's still having conversations with him, knowing that her particular break or non-negotiable was kids, and his was kids. So clearly she's also doing something, because and he mentioned it, she's now considering and moving along. And the reason why she's considering moving along is because of what he's doing. It's a very important lesson for any man out there, that safety that you bring emotionally is quintessential. It changes a lot of the game. Now, am I saying that you have to go and save every woman out there who doesn't feel safe? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is a lot of people have insecurities, even the girls that you think are the finest, even the girls that you think are cool, even if you think the girls that are good. There are a lot of people who have insecurity. When I say insecurity, I'm not talking about their facial expressions or their facial features or how they look physically, because a lot of people have that anyway. We are talking about emotional insecurity. Never really sure whether someone cares about you, wants you, loves you, appreciates you, wants you, honors you. You've never really felt safe. You never felt like somebody just wants you and likes you. When you've never had those things, it can be very difficult. You hear me? So, you know, for me, I love seeing these two. I love seeing these two, and I see the growth, and that could be had. But again, sometimes someone might say we can't bank on potential in some areas. But that's another conversation for another day. But safety is the key word of the day. Much love and appreciation.